Hi, friends. Welcome to Holly's Highlights, a podcast designed to encourage, inspire, and equip you to intentionally live your life full of purpose. I'm your host, Holly Kirby, motivational speaker, leadership cultivator, marketing strategist, and personal cheerleader. Let's check out today's highlight. This episode is brought to you by Postnet and Draper. Listeners, are you looking for design, printing, or shipping solutions? Stop by Postnet in Draper, Utah. They're located at 138 East, 123rd South, or you can give them a call at 801-495-9270, and they'll be able to help you out. Now, their center is locally owned and operated by Paul and Linda, and they strive to provide that exceptional customer service in the Draper community. At Postnet and Draper, you matter. So for your convenience, they provide custom graphic design, high quality printing, multi-carrier shipping services, and so much more. So you can quickly tackle everything on your to-do list quickly and in one place. How easy is that? How convenient is that? So from business cards to signs and all small business and personal print projects in between, they have got your back with their full service printing capabilities. If you need to ship something, they offer that too with custom packing and shipping options through UPS, FedEx, US Postal Service, and even DHL. So you can always choose what works best for you. Now, if you mention that you heard about Postnet on Holly's Highlights, you're going to receive 10% off your first order. So make sure to check that out. First order at Postnet, receive 10% off when you mention Holly's Highlights podcast. Thank you so much, Postnet, for sponsoring and for being a great supporter of Holly's Highlights and our community. We can live just about anywhere in the world right now, and when we turn on the television, listen to the radio, read a newspaper, or even see the covers of magazines while standing in the grocery store checkout, the devastation of what is happening in Ukraine to the Ukrainian people, it's heartbreaking. According to Reuters, as of March 14th, there are at least 15,000 deaths, 1.9 thousand non-fatal injuries, at least 2.8 million displaced. Then, of course, there's the damage of at least 1.7 thousand buildings destroyed and property damage of over 119 billion. This is said to be the largest conventional military attack in Europe since World War II. Now, of course, we can pray for those who are under attack. I fully believe in the power of prayer as we unpacked that last episode in Season 3, Episode 5. But I also realize that, like many of you, we're longing for ways to practically help. Well, that brings us to our special guest today. I had the pleasure of meeting our guest years ago through a leadership training with Chick-fil-A, and then growing and knowing her to where I am blessed to call her my friend. Kate Sergeyeva Gonzalez grew up in Ukraine. She's now married and lives in Kansas City, where her and her husband still represent the Chick-fil-A brand at their local stores. They have a beautiful puppy, Corgi, named Bonnie, and they also have a little bundle of joy on the way too. We're so excited about that. Now, Kate joins us today to share her heart for her people, help us get to know the people of Ukraine a little bit more, and then provide practical ideas and suggestions on how we can get involved in making a positive impact in the lives of those in Ukraine and the surrounding countries, such as Poland, who are taking in those seeking refuge. Thank you, Kate, for being with us today and vulnerably sharing with us. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here today.
Now, Kate, I know the story, but let's let the listeners in on it. What brought you to America and how long have you lived here?
So kind of as a very young adult, I was dreaming of experiencing American dream. I watched so many shows and was just fascinated with the life of teenagers and young adults here. So my first genuine desire was just to come and visit. And I got that chance and came here for exchange year in 2012. And since then, I just was so fascinated by the education system here and just people that I really wanted to come back. Ukraine has been in the news for 8 years now. So in 2014, we kind of hit our first very tough year, and the revolution and the war started in the East. So that dream was kind of pushed back for a while. But in 2015, I got a chance to come back, and I since then I've been studying, and I finished my bachelor's degree here. And meanwhile, I was here doing that. I met my husband. So we got married in 2019 and been living here in Kansas City area since then. For those who know immigration process, to get all your documents ready and for travel, it takes a while. So we've been planning a trip to Ukraine for a really long time. I've been here for 7 years, and COVID definitely made things worse. But this year we had everything set in stone to go, and then the war began.
Oh man! Now tell us about your country of Ukraine and specifically your hometown.
You probably might have heard of my hometown as well. So I'm from Kharkiv, Ukraine. It's a very eastern city. We border with Russia. It's a beautiful city. I've always loved living there. I think it's compared to Chicago in news several times in comparison to the size and amount of people living. So it was 1.7 million people. I've always loved my city, and all my family, my closest people were there when the invasion started. So at this moment in time, it is one of the cities that is still getting hit pretty hard. Majority of my family has evacuated it, but there are still some that are there that have no chance to leave. But overall, Ukraine, even though I'm here and I love America, I love my husband, who's also American as well. I've grown to consider this country my home, my second home as well. But I just have such longing and hurt in my heart for my, native place where I was born and became a person, and where all my family still resides and they have their lives there. Even besides that, just Ukrainian nation overall, and everything that Ukraine has to offer, my heart definitely goes for them as well.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned you have some friends and family who were able to get out of Ukraine. Have you been able to speak with them, or are they safe? Where have they relocated to?
Yeah, so what has been really interesting in this situation, and a lot of news have really emphasized on that, is that communication has not been cut off from the people. And that's been one of the biggest blessings, because I can't even imagine not knowing what they're doing. So far, there has not been a day when we have not got in touch with one person, or I call my mom several times a day. We kind of joke and say that when she sleeps, I am watching, and I'm kind of on a patrol. And when I go to sleep, she's there to see what's going on, and be the ears and the eyes. So yes, the evacuation itself has been pretty traumatizing, because it hasn't been just a clear path, like sit here, get on a train and leave. The military actions are still going. They're still dropping bombs here and there, and you just never know if you'll get home safely. And by the time some of my family decided to leave, the whole country was evacuating, so that the amount of people that were waiting and trying to leave was just crazy. They have traveled through Poland, and then most of my family is in Germany right now.
Okay. Wow, I can't even imagine, but what a blessing that, as you shared, that communication piece is for all of you. Now, there's so many listeners that are feeling just helpless and wondering how they can help. What would you suggest?
Yeah, the first thing, obviously, and the news and social media and just everywhere around has rallied around Ukraine, and people in Ukraine just feel the support and all humanitarian help that's coming from everywhere. It's one thing that you probably know. It's just it's never enough. You help one person and 10 more come,
right,
with hands open. So there are several huge organizations that help with that, and I'm going to name some, and we'll list them down there as well. And some of them are Fight for the Right. There is a World Central Kitchen. there is some Ukrainian organization as well. One of them is Razom for Ukraine. And then we do have several that are, people are still coming up with. And I'm a huge source in the fact that I repost anything I can possibly do. So we'll have that linked as well down there. But we also have heard about Globus Relief for hospital supplies, and a group called CARE, and helps support women and families. America Cares, there's a lot of different organizations. And one thing that has been really clear recently in the last week is a lot of places are being, verified. Like there's not just places around where you send your money and they'll go nowhere. So even if you Google at this point, you'll find somewhere where you can send money. And obviously, humanitarian relief is so important, but also military relief is, or even support helps as well as we continue to battle that. But I do also understand that some people can't donate. And I do have some things to say that I believe that are even more powerful than money sometimes. And you were so right when you mentioned prayer first. Ukraine has been a part of Soviet Union before, and the religion there is mostly people are Christian Orthodox, but people still need help that do not believe, and sometimes I do feel like the prayers are really directed toward those believers, believers of Ukraine or Christians of Ukraine. But I feel like so many people need Savior who don't know him, and it's probably the best time to build that relationship and get to know God and just put the trust in him. So that prayer is huge. Another one is educating yourself and watching the news. I do have a lot of family and friends that reach out to me and ask for update, and I love to give it, but I also feel like nowadays there's no way that you won't be able to find an update if you don't watch the news. So just wanting and taking time to really dig deep and watch and educate. And I ask my family and friends too to share it. Like you find something and then share it so that somebody else can learn and understand the situation better. Being very critical of media is really important in that aspect because obviously there are some channels, and obviously our world, like the West that we call now, is a lot better about, kind of spreading the truth. But there's a lot of channels that still say things that are just really hard to hear. So just being careful with that. And again, I think there is a lot of even Ukrainian stations, like social media platforms that have gotten so big, and they cover things in several languages too, not just Ukrainian or Russian. So it usually most of the things that they post is very helpful and kind of like, a minute to day update. So you know exactly what's happening.
Wow. Do you have some of those sites listed on those Ukrainian social medias?
Yes, and I will share them. I think me saying that out will be a little bit harder to even, you to write down, but there's Kiev Independent, which is our capital. We do have our President Zelensky. He shares so many times a day of just updates. We'll have them all down there for you guys because the spelling might be hard
right.
to figure out. And then we did talk about center and uplift the Ukrainian voices. So if you hear somebody reposting a Ukrainian or just sharing their hurt, just sharing that with the world, because so many people just still feel like they don't know where they stand, or they feel like they can be neutral in this. There's a couple of things that are very personal to me, And I don't want to sound rude or insensitive, but there are ways when people can share something or say things where it will harm more than it will help. And one of them is utilizing correct language. So whenever you say some Ukrainian cities or names, there is a way where it's translated from Ukrainian language to English, and there are some ways where it's from Russian to English. So we really ask you to be intentional about checking that, because I'll give example with my home city. I have been saying it for the longest time like that is Kharkov. I grew up in it speaking Russian, and from Ukrainian it's actually Kharkiv because the way it's translated. And I spoken Ukrainian now for 8 years only. I don't have any negative things to say about Russian language. I just want to promote my nationality, and I was just taught, that now it's my choice of what I do. But whenever, even the capital Kyiv is in news a lot. Kyiv is the way we say it in Ukrainian. It's to our hearts. Kiev is the Russian way. And I know it seems like a very minor thing, but, we are fighting a war where they want to erase our identity, and all those little things matter.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you brought that to our attention. What a crucial aspect of that. And as you go back to educating ourselves, how good that is to be able to know, and especially the differences going into comparison of Russia specifically, because that is, as you mentioned, trying to erase the identity. That's so important. So I don't think that's insensitive at all. I thank you for sharing that with us. Any other tips or just things that you think that we should know, or how we can support or be aware of like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I have one more kind of on the same theme, where it's using correct words for what is happening, because it is a very hard situation, but when things are called wrong ways, it hurts even more. So a lot of times you hear it's being called a conflict. But it is not a conflict. It is an outright war.
Yes.
We have a country that's an aggressor and colonizer, we did not go and start a war somewhere else on a neutral land. We have civilians dying. We have homes being destroyed. So calling it what it is very important, because conflict is it is very, very gentle, politically correct term, I would say, to use. And, it just, whenever you hear that, it just hurts. You can see how many kids are dead. What conflict causes that, it's just, it is so sad. And it might seem small, but again, it just helps, at least for Ukrainians to see, and the world to recognize that, something very wrong is happening here. Another thing, I post a lot on my social media. So if you ever are interested too, and I know being I have a lot of friends in America here that, don't know Ukrainian. So when I repost, I try to share some things in English to better understand what it is. So share, following those accounts, and then also asking the right questions. Not a lot of people can, but I'm not a citizen yet, so I don't practice this a lot. But assisting in getting, contacting your government officials, I really don't know how much that can help. But at some point, America as a nation will have to say something as well. And right now we just have our president speaking on behalf. But whenever it comes time for the people to say something, I guess that will be really, really helpful.
And every voice does matter. So I think even though you're unsure of what doors could open by contacting the government officials, just having the voice and reaching out can be crucial. So thank you for that as well. Now, you shared how we can connect with you further is through those Instagram and your social media accounts, and we'll make sure to list those on our show notes as well. Now, Kate, the last question I think I'd have for you is my signature question, which I think listeners would value hearing from you, especially in the midst of everything that is going on. And that is, if you could go back and encourage, inspire, or equip yourself as a child. So while you were a child in Ukraine, what would you say?
You know what, and this really hits home. I kind of started with the fact that I was planning to go home and visit my family. I was a very independent child, and I was always wanting to leave the nest and experience life to the fullest. You know, I went as furthest I could go. And my biggest tip for myself was just to value that time with family and spend as much of it with them as absolutely possible. Whenever the war just began, I didn't know if I'll ever see any of them. Now that most of them have evacuated, I at least have that. I might never walk by the streets that I grew up on, but I'm just realizing how valuable the family is during this. I mean, I knew it all the 7 years I wanted to go back home and visit, but now more than ever, it kind of became so real, and it just hurts to know that some of them I might not be able to see. So I've not always been really close with all my family, and I am now. And when I go back, it will be a very heartwarming reunion. But I think sometimes we forget and don't value and remember our family as much because we spend so much, time with them at home. So that would be my biggest tip right now. And, even going forward with our child, that's definitely something that we will value because we pray that everything goes the best way from now on. But even if we stay here and everything's good there, their grandchild, my child, won't see them often. So I'm definitely going to teach child to value each second they spend with their family.
It's precious. Yes. Thank you again, Kate. I'm grateful for this time together and learning more about the Ukrainian people and, of course, these tangible ways to get involved and the insights too, those valuable insights that you shared with us. So thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. Can I say kind of like a last
Absolutely.
exit?
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of goes back to like what to do and how to react. Obviously, war is a very difficult time, and a lot of times people who are hurt, they've reserved to hate and negative emotions. So one thing I definitely ask people to stay away from is getting in those heated arguments and spreading hate. I'm a human, and I feel that too. There's unthinkable things that go through my head that I never thought that I'll think in my, and I'm Christian. I believe in God. I believe that human life is so precious. But just remembering that, there are people everywhere as we're going through this, and there are a lot of really good people. And they get hurt because some people just generalize things. So I do believe there is an aggressor, which is a bad and evil, and somebody who's fighting it, which is good. But there are people who just don't have anything to do with it, and try to help and stand against that. So I just wanted to end with that.
Well said, my friend. It makes me think of the quote, "Be the kind you wish to see in the world." Thank you, Kate. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining me on this journey of life. I hope that today's highlight has been encouraging, inspiring, and equipping so you can go out and live your life full of purpose. I'd be honored if you'd take a moment to leave a review, or better yet, subscribe. We can also stay in touch by joining my email list at hollykirby.com. That's HOLLYCURBY.com. Until next time, make it a great day for a great day.